Ready. Awesome. Welcome. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Do you want to start? What's been going on in the brewery, Al?
Oh, lots has been going on in the brewery, especially this week as well. We've just been so busy. Got a couple of guys off on holiday. Things are starting to open up, so
where have they
people
gone?
taking a bit of time off. I don't know where they've gone.
Anyway.
Don't know where they've gone. Just a bit of time off,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've been pretty busy this week. It's been good. It's been really exciting. How about
It's been
yourself,
really
Gus?
busy.
How's your week been?
Oh, mate, just chilling.
You glad it's Friday?
Yeah, just chilling. Yeah, easy.
Shame about the weather.
I know.
Hopefully we get some good weather coming up again. Spring again.
Well, it's lovely weather, but it's just a bit cold, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit
It's a bit
chilly.
windy.
Got our
But,
blankets
but yeah,
just in
lovely.
case.
Yeah, let's go. Welcome, guys, to another Tiny Rebel virtual tasting. It's quite an exciting one, really, isn't it? Because it's kind of like full-on IPA night, really, isn't it?
It's so ace.
ace. I think Mark was a bit jealous that
Of this little guy.
because IPAs are his favourite thing. No, I'm just kidding. It's really cool actually. We've got 5 kind of IPAs. They're all IPAs, really, aren't they? Even the peaches and cream.
All bangers.
IPA. So I just think we'll go through them one by one and we'll do some questions and just kind of chill out, have a few beers, I think, isn't it? A bit different now because people are drinking back in beer gardens, as you can see behind us. Sometimes it's a bit wet, isn't it?
Little bit.
I came out Monday for a beer and it was so wet. It was just like,
People are sticking to it though.
oh,
There's some real troopers. We've had all sorts of people in anoraks
yeah,
huddled around a table outside in the rain.
I know. Some really dedicated people. It's like,
When the beer's this good, why not?
yeah. But
The sun is out today.
and
The
it's
sun is
beautiful.
out today.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So, and it's a little bit warmer today, which is bonus. So I reckon we'll just get straight in with the first one. And we can have a little bit of a chat and let's crack on. What is the first one, Al?
First one, $5 shake. Nice, juicy boy to start off with.
Bit of a story behind this one, isn't it? It's not a new one. When did we first brew this?
Must be about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, maybe just under 2 years ago.
And what was the first?
First one was brewed for cask, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So it really was designed for cask. And then we brought it out in a 500ml bottle during lockdown, the first kind of lockdown this time last year. And then this is the first time we have put it in a 330ml can. So we're really excited to bring it to you guys on that format.
I think it went kind of better than we anticipated, didn't it? I think when we done it in cask at first, I think it was for a listing somewhere, and it just went really well, and kind of when it kind of stuck. And we decided to put it in a 500ml bottle first, wasn't it?
Good one.
Like an old school 500ml bottle, wasn't it? You couldn't get more kind of old-fashioned, really. But with a new style, that was the whole point of it, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So we did Kutch as well in that 500ml format. So the two kind of sat really nicely together.
Yeah. And that was our first ever 500ml bottles,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's and it worked well, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought so.
We still do it, but I think it was for I think we were doing it for a kind of food sort of warehouse. Was it Boots?
Yeah, I think so.
I've never been to a Boots.
I also have not.
I think it must be a northern thing. But went really well. We sell it in the brewery, and a lot of our staff were drinking it. That's when you can always tell that someone really enjoys it, is when our staff drink it. And after work, especially on a Friday, we're all drinking 500ml bottles of
straight out of the fridge.
$5 shake.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting.
Yeah, it was funny.
And then it ended up in can. So it must be doing well. So
it's just that bright aroma. Like for me, it's just got such an incredible aroma. You get that soft vanilla from the lactose in there, like a creamy kind of vanilla. And then you get that lovely kind of hit of citra, which is just that awesome kind of almost pollen-like citrus. It's really sherbety and light and sweet. Just really nice aroma.
Sweetness with it. Hops in this one, Citra
Columbus, and then Cascade as well.
Yeah.
So 3 of the classic C hops in there.
And we talked about this earlier. It's the same hops as in Kutch. but you would never believe it, would you? Really?
Same hops as in Kutch. Yeah.
You just
And
wouldn't
they
believe.
just come through completely different.
They do, and I think. Why do you think? I mean, it's the same amount of hops, and I mean, to me, Kutch really tastes fruity, but it doesn't have kind of the mouthfeel of this or anything like that. It's not as silky smooth as this.
No.
Why is that?
I think it really comes down to just the other ingredients that are in there. You know, Kutch has got some of those darker malts, carry through some of that bready kind of deep malty flavor, a little bit of roasted character too, and you know, that's going to play differently with that kind of hop character. You know, you get some of those lovely fruity esters as those complex malts are being fermented. You know, real intense kind of strawberry I always get on the nose of Kutch, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, on this, we're using completely different malts. We're using really soft, you know, rolled oats in this, and your pale malt as well. And it just gives that lovely soft, creamy base. You've got lactose too. Yeah. So it's just really a different kind of base layer of flavor in there, which is just giving completely different notes through with the hops.
And I think that carbonation, it's not too carbonated as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you still, I think it adds to that smoothness.
Yeah.
And that full body. It's not sickly either, which is what.
No, not at all.
Which I think is kind of what makes it. It's not too sickly, but yet it is kind of full-bodied and sweet.
Yeah.
But it's not overpowering.
This is super creamy. This is super creamy. Yeah. This is the best one I've tasted in a while.
Smooth, apparently. It's
super smooth.
And it's great. I just think it's one of those ones that it's kind of a new world beer, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it's kind of that new style beer, you know. It's kind of new, isn't it? Really, you know, a lot of people getting into beer now. You know, 5 years ago, this wouldn't be around, would it?
Yeah.
Really? The house would be and everything like that, but not the style of beer with the lactose in it and that full-bodiedness.
Milkshake IPA kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think beers like this now are kind of becoming the norm, aren't they?
Definitely.
Just change the times, I guess. But
you mentioned a little bit about the milkshake type of beer. So why do you think that was the trend? Do you think that's going to continue where we're doing?
So the question we just got was, you know, why is milkshake IPA a trend, and how do you think that's going to continue with kind of variations on a theme? Guys, what do you reckon to that?
I think it's time. I think as time goes on, you know, we've been now going nearly 10 years. We're 10 years next. I mean, next February will be our birthday. And beer has changed so much since then. You know, before it was big, kind of like bitter beers, hoppy, but very bitter as well, wasn't it? Not so much full-bodied, kind of medium to light.
Yeah.
Certainly not sweet. It was all about bitterness, wasn't it? And I just think it's been just a complete role reversal. And, you know, maybe something different, isn't it? I think maybe that influence comes from America sometimes with the dessert style
100%.
Into a pale beer, maybe.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely bang on. And I think just generally beers at the moment are trending towards that kind of rounder, softer flavor and character, and just having lactose in there lends itself to that. You know, you have that creaminess and that mouthfeel that people are looking for, something that really sort of washes around the palate and just lingers, and it's really just, you know, it's there. You're almost eating it. It's so thick.
This one should be in a 440 or a 500 ml can.
500 ml can would have been cool.
Perfect, isn't it? Really.
500 ml can would be very cool.
Good question, really.
I think it makes a huge difference, particularly on $5. Well, on all of them, of course, but for me, I actually preferred $5 in the bottle.
Did you?
Yeah, I just found it a little bit more fruity. It kind of developed slightly different to how it does in the can. But again, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? And I think it's just up to the consumer. However you prefer to drink your beer is the right way for you to drink it.
Exactly.
You know?
There's no like kind of real answer to it, is it really? I think it's a personal preference, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think I prefer it in the can. If you ask me why, I'd probably say it's something probably to do with the carbonation, maybe, or something like that. Or it just feels a little bit smoother and a bit more mellow in a can, maybe. I don't know. It's like kind of that.
If you think about, it's so much easier having a can under your pocket, apart from maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I'd say so. The cans are always, cans have that advantage over bottles of kind of transport, don't they?
Portability.
But I think the experience from drinking out of a bottle directly is different to drinking out of a can directly. What
Yeah,
would you prefer?
definitely. Definitely.
If
Oh,
I
I'd
drink
prefer
out of
to
a
drink
vessel,
out of
what
a
would you-
bottle
Yeah,
than a can.
yeah, completely.
But again, you know, it's always got to be in a glass, hasn't it? You've got to be able to get that full experience if you can, you know, so you can see how that beer looks.
Yeah.
That's so important. For me, that influences all of the flavour, you know.
So you want to see it, because sometimes you can't get all of the flavors and aromas if you're drinking it from the vessel.
And yeah, that too.
You know,
That too,
a
the
can or a
aromas as
bottle.
well. Aromas is a massive one for that.
Yeah. But a lager, I prefer lagers out of bottles.
Really?
Always,
Interesting.
Yeah. So if
Huh.
if it's like yeah, I do enjoy a lager out of a bottle. If it's like a 330ml, keep it cold, and I do. Yeah. But I mean, back to this beer, I think it's a great solid beer. I think it's going to be one that's going to be staying around for a while as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I really like the haze on it as well. I think it's such
Yeah.
a wicked colour. It's just, it lends itself so nicely. It blends really nicely with the can as well. They just kind of look the perfect pair.
It's accessible, isn't it? I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the good thing about this. It's an accessible new world beer. I think that's what I would kind of call it. You know what I mean? I say new world, you know, it's been out for a couple of years now, but that new style, and it's accessible, isn't it? You know, you could give it to somebody who's new into craft beer and be like, try that, and they wouldn't be kind of, oh, it's a bit too much for me.
I totally
That's the way
agree.
I see it.
And I think of all the kind of milkshake IPAs, certainly that I've had anyway, this is the one that is, as you say, the most accessible. Most milkshake IPAs I've had have been like strawberry milkshake or banana milkshake IPAs, and they're just, it's just too much. This is really, really accessible. It's super drinkable, and it's not going to fill you up with that horrible kind of cloying sweetness. It's really, it is actually very drinkable. It's really drinkable.
It is. And do you know what I think? Do you know what I think the key was, like, for this beer was, is that we made it on cask first. So we made it delicate on purpose for cask, but still punchy for cask.
Yeah.
Certainly punchy for cask and different for cask. And I think that's just gone through now, isn't it? From bottle to can.
Yeah.
I think that's what's made it what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about accessibility, is there a way to make a milkshake beer that is
Can we make a milkshake beer that is vegan?
I don't know. I guess, so we've just been asked, you know, can we make a milkshake IPA that is vegan? The question really is how you define milkshake IPA. You know, a milkshake IPA, my definition would be that it has to have lactose. That's what makes it a milkshake IPA. But there are other ways around that. You know, you could make an oat milk and then blend that in. That would be vegan. You could also use some of the other unfermentable sugars to give that milky character, you know, maltodextrin, for instance, and then add some vanilla, which might give that creamy thing in there. So I guess you could. I don't know if it would be a true milkshake IPA, but certainly variation on a theme and an interesting approach.
I think so. And for those that I didn't introduce Alex earlier, Alex is our lead brewer, so this would be right up Alex's street, to be honest, and Mark and the rest of the team. And I think we certainly could. I mean, we've made beers that are very, very thick beers before, that are sweet without the use of lactose. We've done many of them.
Yeah.
I think it's trying to drop to that, and I got no doubt you'd be able to do it, and the team. That's a good idea, really, isn't it? Is that a challenge?
Yeah,
that
it could be interesting.
challenge.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it?
Let us know if you guys would like to see that, a vegan milkshake IPA in the comments.
I've not seen one yet, really.
Send out an email.
Yeah.
I've not seen one either, actually.
No, I haven't.
What I have seen is a very strange beer that was made with whey. And I think it was kind of along that theme, wasn't it? It was a whey IPA.
Was it whey water? Was it they were using whey water?
I can't even remember.
It
was wild beer. And I think that was just before lockdown. So
yeah. Well,
crazy.
I've drunk mine. It's finished. I think that's just a testament to it's an easy, what we call a crushable beer, isn't it?
Delicious.
Next beer.
What are we on to next, man?
I think it's onto the Brickstone roll. I'm not sure where the name came from, really.
I'm actually not sure either.
I do. Brad's the other co-founder. he loves drum and bass, and I think there's more as time goes on. The more and more beers are getting names
From
of drum
D&B.
and bass songs and or garage songs. The last one was Bump and Grind, which was a garage song, not an R. Kelly song. Just to clarify that. But and again, this Bricks Don't Roll is a drum and bass song. What do you think?
I like it. I like it a lot. I absolutely love the can artwork on this one as well. The pink is so cool. It really stands out from other cans on the shelves. It's got that sort of Mario sort of look to it, which I think is really cool. And again, you know, it uses some of our favorite hops in here. A relatively newcomer to the scene. We've got Idaho 7 in there. We've also got some Citra. And then we used a new hop product as well called Incognito. So it's essentially really concentrated hop resins and oils. You add that into the whirlpool and you get this intense shot of hop flavor without the loss of yield that you would get from adding just pellet hops. And it's a fantastic way of really boosting your hop aroma and character in a beer. So we use that in this, which is quite exciting too. Yeah, what do you reckon?
Do you know what? I always smell from the can first. I don't know why. I always find this a little like you get kind of a more. You can always tell when you open a can, and you can tell if it's kind of got a strong aroma because it bursts.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's got that classic.
Wow.
I get a bit of grassiness, that hay grass.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
In an IPA. I love Idaho 7. I think we first started using it a couple of years ago.
Yeah. It's still a new hop though, you know. It
is. It's a very new hop. And I was thinking earlier, I think it's a hop that's here to stay.
Yeah.
I do. I think it'll be one of those. I think it'll be up there with the likes of, you know, Citra, Mosaic. I can always remember Mosaic coming out 6 years ago, something like that. I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. And it's
Mosaic's the big boy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's for us, isn't it? We use it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think Idaho 7, I think we were really impressed by that. What sort of characteristics do you get from Idaho 7?
So for me, Idaho 7 is that really intense pineapple and mango. Just super intense. It's got a nice like citrus note in there too. And then it can be quite piney. And I think that's what comes across in the flavor on this. So for me, this is super resinous.
Yeah.
And it's got that insane, like, almost like a bitter mango to it, which I think is wicked. It's really cool.
Yeah. I get like a bit of, on the taste, I get like, not in a bad way. You get that rubbery sort of, it's not rubbery. Some people say rubbery tires, but it's not that. It's like a bit of a spicy.
Yeah.
Resinous,
I kind of know what you mean.
It's like, it's not full tropical, is it? You get that. It's different. Is that from the Incognito, or would you say that's from the
I think it's a bit of a blend of that and quite heavily on the Idaho 7. I think all of that kind of real dankness comes from. But I totally get what you're saying with that, like the tires thing. It's like an acrid. It's almost acrid, but in a positive sense. That resin is so intense. It's like.
But it goes well against the other flavors, doesn't it? I think that's the key thing. Is maybe on its own it wouldn't work, but the fact that it bounces around the other two, you know, tropical flavors, I think it works.
Yeah, awesome. It blends really nicely. And then Citra in there as well. You know, Citra is just that old school banger that it's got to go in an IPA. It has to. It's where it belongs.
The more I've looked at it, and the more we make beers and things like that, and we design our recipes, and we'll sit down and, you know, we'll involve like all the brewers, depending on what the beer is usually. But, you know, if it's a quick sort of few recipes that we're doing, we'll get Alex will sit down, Shane will come in from our cellaring team as well, Mark, myself, and, you know, we'll thrash out the hops that we want to put in there. And I've noticed very rarely do we ever put more than 3 hops in a beer. We don't, do we?
Yeah,
really?
No.
It's rare, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super rare. Super rare.
There's a reason for that. I think, for me personally, too many can be a bad thing.
It just muddies the waters, doesn't it?
I think so.
It makes it really difficult to pick out a particular hop's characteristic, you know? You want to be able to pick apart your beer and go, that's coming from him, that's coming from her, blah, 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 in terms of that hop bill. Yeah. So, I totally agree. Simplicity is key, isn't it? Really, it's a balance.
It is, isn't it? And you can pick those out. And I always say it. I mean, this beer is was it 5.3? Drinks bigger than a 5.3.
I thought that. I thought it's really bold. It is really bold.
And the hops as well.
It's more like a 6.3 on my palate, but
it's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. Punches above its weight.
It does punch above its weight. It's kind of that double IPA. If I was to drink this and somebody would say, how strong do you think that is? You'd see up in the 6s. I certainly would.
Yeah.
But that incognito hop, I mean, that's a blend of hops, isn't it?
The one that we use was a Citra specific one.
Oh, okay.
So I think you can get some blended, and then others are just straight down the line. So you guys might remember we did a tasting a few months ago now with Shimmy Shimmy, which is one of our IPAs, and that had used a Mosaic incognito in it. I'm trying to think. We have used, that's it, Party Hards, non-alcoholic. We used Citra incognito in that one as well. So we've used it a few times. We really like it. It's quite expensive, but it's an interesting kind of little device that we can use.
Worth it though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And do you know what? I think, for me and Alex sitting here now, I mean, certainly myself, I mean, I tried these beers, you tried these beers right the way through production, just before being canned. I mean, I haven't tried them since then, which was like about a month ago now.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to try them now as it was then, because they're different. They're
totally different. They do develop quite a lot, and you have to sort of build that into the process when you're designing the recipes. When the whole team is sat in the office and we're coming up with these ideas, you have to build that in, with the idea that this could be sat on someone's shelf for quite a while in the warm. It's not necessarily going to be in cold chain refrigeration, and that all gets taken into consideration. It's really important to us.
But you know what? I prefer it when a beer sits on a shelf for a month, because I think it rounds off a little bit. It's not as edgy. I mean, certainly this is still edgy for me, but it's not as green as it is for when it's first brewed.
Totally. It kind of reduces some of those crazy sort of flavor spikes that you get. We've actually been working on something really interesting recently, where we've been looking at Shakedown, which is our mango IPA, and leaving it for a couple of weeks and tasting it each week and seeing how it's developed, and then looking back at those flavor profiles and seeing how they've changed. And interestingly, what we found is, it really kind of peaked after about week 6 of sitting warm. This hasn't been refrigerated. It's been sat warm on a shelf. And about week 6, it really started to come into its own, and that mango became far more juicy. Some of that bitterness died away, and it became this lovely, sweet IPA. And it's just perfect. It's really, really interesting to see how they kind of change.
Totally agree. And I think, but it's weird, isn't it? Because you don't want to let it too long. So it's like with these sort of really hop forward beers, you don't want to leave it too long, like 3-4 months maybe, because that could take it past the tipping point and they start to die off. And
definitely.
So you've got to catch that freshness, I think, with these sorts of beers. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think so.
Over to me.
Over to you.
I think, honestly, I think the reason why this, what is it, 5.3? 5.3% went into a bigger can. I think the more that again, as time goes on, I think you start to see a lot more beers entering into that 440, 500, and it's a one-off. So I think we tend to put more of our one-off beers into 440. We've not done a 500 yet, have we?
We've not. We've not. I can see Paul at home going, no, don't do that. Paul's our packaging manager. So that would take a little bit of configurating on our canning line, but I'm sure he'd give it a bash.
All our specials go into 440s usually, don't they?
Yeah, quite often. I'm trying to think the last time we did a special in a 330, actually.
Yeah, it seems like our core products, they are, it doesn't seem, our core products always sit in 330, then specials, more often than not, coming at 440.
Yeah, certainly now.
It's a common feature that we have that runs the way through, isn't it, really? Would our core products ever sit in a 440? I don't know. I think it looked
I
weird.
like them in the 330. Yeah, I
Me too.
totally agree.
I think to see Club in a 440, it looked weird to me.
It'd be strange, wouldn't it?
And personally, when I kind of drink myself, I prefer to drink smaller vessels because they stay colder and a bit fresher. So you get more through of them, or more of them, but they taste better because they're fresher and stay colder.
I have always argued that case. You know, in bars, I would much rather drink a schooner, which is 2/3 of a pint, than a pint. For that reason, you know, at the end of my pint, it's always warm.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm drinking too slow. I don't know, but you know, schooner is that
I think
perfect
that's a
height.
continental thing, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We're British a bit pint mad, aren't we? But
yeah.
But pint mad, but being low ABV.
Yeah.
It's kind of switching now, isn't it? We're going, you know, I'm talking older style beers now, kind of much lower ABVs. Now we're going higher ABVs, so that's why you're seeing a lot of bars will be smaller glasses. It's for a
Thirds
reason,
and
isn't it?
halves.
It's not a money thing. Some people think it's a money thing. It's not. I think you want it. Keep it fresher, stronger beers for a start as well. You wouldn't drink pints of.
This is going to sound crazy as well, but you know, even having your beer sat in the glass, let's say you're out in a beer garden, that's going to change the beer. Literally having it sat in the glass, it can take literally 15 minutes for your beer to get light struck when you're sat outside in a beer garden in intense sunlight, and that's the process of your beer basically producing these off flavors after the light is striking the beer. You get these off flavors called 4-MBT, and it comes across as skunky kind of aroma.
Color change.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm really into this beer. I think it's different to what we usually do. I think that spiciness in it, that kind of edgy spiciness, I think it's different to what we usually do. And I think I really like it.
Yeah,
really
it's
do.
nice, man. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting trying the 505 in a sec, because the bases are relatively similar. The only difference between the two is that Brickstone roll, that's had Vienna in there, and the 505 has had dextrin malt instead. So that's the main difference. So you see a slight colour difference.
From this?
Yeah, a tiny bit more maltiness from this one. But the water chemistry is very similar on the two. It's that classic kind of NEPA water chemistry we like to use. And it just adds that kind of body and texture.
Fantastic. Do we have to drink every one of these tonight, like all of them, quantity-wise? I'm not sure.
Yes.
We do? Did you? Oh, yeah, I've done that. Yeah. So you can take us on to the next one.
Right. Next one then. Peaches and cream.
505, isn't it?
You want to do 505?
Or do you want to go peaches? Do you want to break in between the two? Or do you want to compare
No,
them?
we want 505.
You've been summoned.
Director's telling us 505. So, this is the best can.
Why?
In my opinion, this is the best can design we've done. I just love it. I love the song, Arctic Monkeys reference. It's probably the only reference I'm young enough to understand or old enough to understand. Everything else is always over my head because I'm basically 12 years old.
If it was like Stone Roses, Happy Monday, someone like that, then I'd know. But
you'd like them, man. You're into your Stone Roses. I think you'd like them, yeah.
I'm a bit older than you, though.
This is our 505.
You gotta go for that.
You got your. Can I get a different one? I get a different one, please.
So we're going to the 505.
Thank you.
You can share mine.
Yeah, we'll share yours. That's good.
Lovely colour to that.
Go on. This is how it should be. This is really sharing.
Can share it. That's why it's in the 440.
Hey.
It is.
440 for this very reason.
So 505. You find that at Sainsbury's at the moment.
You can indeed.
New one for Sainsbury's.
That nose is good. That nose is so good.
Do you know what I get in that?
Go on, hit me.
I get that coconutty kind of that Sabro.
Thank you.
It's the Sabro hops. Sorry, I changed your can.
I've got two. Double part.
That means you're going to drink two now.
Fine by me. I really like this beer.
So this beer, get it in Sainsbury's. Went into Sainsbury's for a new launch a couple of weeks ago, I think. Hops, Mosaic, Sabro, and Simcoe. And when you smelt it just then, you were like, oh.
I got really excited
Yeah.
because as you've just, you've just rattled off the hop list. It's got my new favorite hop in it. Wow. Obviously, Hallertau Blanc, I'll always love you, but Sabro is just so cool. I really, really, really love this hop. And it's because it's so divisive, just like Sriracha Ace was.
Yes.
It has that coconut flavor that people either love or they hate. And in this, it's like that intense coconut and lime. It's almost like a pina colada hop. It's just insane.
I love the translucent color, but yeah.
Yeah, it's wicked. The color is beautiful as well, isn't it? It's really, really nice.
If you can't see it, if you don't have it. But yeah, it kind of leans on that. We've got the mosaic, we've got the Simcoe, so you've got the mosaic giving that tropical, orangey flavors. The Simcoe, bit of piney, isn't it? A bit of piney resinous. But like you said,
super piney.
You can pick out the Sabro straight away, which gives it that coconutty. I always find it a bit.
We only used a tiny bit of Sabro in this as well. It was like 10 kilos. 10 kilos in a 55, 60 kilo dry hop. So hardly anything.
And we used this
powerful
in one of our birthday beers. It was the Oh My God, They Killed Sabro, wasn't it?
We did. Which is one of my favorite beers we've done this year. So good.
I find it a bit of like a Marmite.
Yeah,
I
certainly.
like it, but I can see how some people might think that's a bit too different.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why we use it in a kind of judicial way. We don't use too much of it.
Exactly. Unless we were making a single hop and wanted to shout about it, then we'd do that. But in this, it was really about balancing it with the other guys in there. So, and I think we've done that really well. I think it's got a lovely balance to it.
It has. I'm getting on that as well, which I'm getting a little bit more bitterness than the last beer, the Brickstone roll, isn't it? I find it a little bit more bitter. It kind of struck me then when I drank it.
I like that. It's like a fresh greenness that's finishing bitter.
Yeah.
It's just really fresh.
That Sabro really jumps out. It really, really does.
It's really, really fresh.
Do you think that hop's going to stay around? I mean, that's a bit of a different one, isn't it?
I think it will, just because it's so intense and so different from everything else. And I think the only reason that it's divisive is because it's coconut. The reason, I talked about Sriracha Ace earlier. The reason that was divisive was because it had negative flavor connotations, that people didn't necessarily like.
Yeah.
And I think the only negative is you either like coconut or you don't, So I think it will stick. I think it will stick. And I love coconut as well.
I love a Bounty.
I don't like a Bounty though. I love coconut. I like real coconut, man.
So when we
get Bounty,
when we get the celebrations upstairs at Christmas time,
the Bounty Hoover.
It's a Bounty.
The Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
Gaz the Bounty Hunter.
A Bounty, and everyone's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "The Bounties are really nice."
What's wrong with you?
Like, I'm old enough to remember to go into a box of Quality Street, and no one would go for the peanut crackle one, like a peanut. That was disgusting.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
But
I'm not into
they
that.
were always left. But for
that.
some reason, the Bounties are always left over these days.
I'm very lucky. My partner loves the Bounties, so that's why we get on so well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, back to the hop. I mean, I love it, but I just hope it doesn't end up like a Sriracha Ace that kind of like 6-7 years ago was like the in hop. But a lot of people would say no one's really kind of nailed it into using it in a beer because it's so distinctive and coconutty, and some people say cat's pissy.
Well, that was it, wasn't it? I think that's why people sort of went, I'm not so sure about this. I think one of the interesting things about that was, maybe one year it would have been excellent. And again, it's because of what that harvest was like. And, the harvests are changing year on year. Some of these big hops, like Citra, where they're a real brand, the reason they're so consistent or manage to be relatively consistent is because they make enough of it or harvest enough of it to blend lots to get you that Citra flavor. And with smaller lots like this or Sriracha Ace, you're going to get that variation in because they're just not able to blend it because they're not producing enough of it. There's not that demand yet.
I can always remember a beer with Sriracha Ace, and I always loved it. And it was Bristol Beer Factory's Acer.
Shout out.
On cask. We used to do it on cask all the time.
Acer. That's a lovely name.
And it was just a single hop Sriracha Ace. And it
I
was
get it. Nice.
It sounds really weird. It was like cat's piss. I can see.
But I loved it.
I can say that word, that's That's right. And it was just so unique. It was just like, this is awesome. But hardly anybody used it. It's kind of, we used it in stouts that we want to get that coconut flavor out of.
Yeah. We've the coconut cream Stay Puffed. Thank you very much. Coconut cream. You saying that, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was really good.
I think we've talked enough about
Coconut
now.
We've gone a bit cocoa nuts.
Yeah, but I think it's great. Again, so you were saying earlier about the malt base. The malt base is slightly different from the Brickstone roll.
Yeah. So in this one, we're using dextrin, torrefied wheat, our pale malt, and we're also using the oats in there as well. Brickstone roll has got all of that, except instead of dextrin, it's Vienna, slightly different kind of malts. We really like dextrin. It's something we've not used for a while, actually. We used to really base a lot of our IPAs on that dextrin malt. Yeah.
Used to be called.
I've used it for a while.
When we first started brewing a
Carahel
long time ago.
or Carapils.
Carapils.
Yeah.
Carapils.
Both the same.
It was used to be called Carapils, which was the Vehement
exactly.
German malt. German malt, but it was a dextrin malt, wasn't it? So it was supposed to help head retention in beer, give a fuller body. Not so much taste, is it? But it's more of a...
Yeah, exactly. It's providing all of that,
visual.
but without that breadiness that you would get with Vienna or with Munich, for instance, which should offer similar characters, but you're going to get color pickup, you're going to get more sweetness and flavor.
Yeah.
It's that relatively flavor neutral, but providing all of the aesthetics and the kind of feel that you want.
I think nearly every recipe that we started with, kind of like 9 years ago, had a bit of dextrin in it.
It's a great malt. It's really good. I'm actually amazed we've stopped using it up until.
Do you know what? In all honesty, we used to use it in so many beers, and I was always a bit dubious in the end that, like,
what was it adding?
Yeah, I personally, I don't think it was adding much more than wheat malt. Wheat, that was adding, or torrefied wheat. So I think over time it got phased out because, we were getting the same results from using some Tory wheat
and
or some
simplification is always better.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, back, when we first started, sort of 9 years ago, you're looking elsewhere and see what everybody else is using, and you're thinking, oh, everybody's using dextrin malt. I'm going to use a bit of dextrin malt.
Yeah.
A little bit of that as well.
Yeah, totally.
Until you find your own way, and I think that's a bit of that, really. But
we've had that. Me and Mark have always had this contentious discussion about whether dextrin malt is the same as chip malt, and again, chip malt is used in a very similar way. I'd argue it's not the same. Mark would say it's the same.
That's a new malt, is it? Chip malt. I think it's
but again, if you were to Google it, to be fair, it does say it's very similar to dextrin. So,
and I think what you get is that you'll see a few like in breweries start to use these different things, and you'll start to see other breweries going like, oh, hello, if they're using it, we'll start using it. You get a bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's that's what people do. But yeah, I'm.
This is a great beer. I'm really happy that this is now, going to be in Sainsbury's. You can pick it up just around the corner from you in Sainsbury's. I think that's awesome, and it's a solid beer. This.
Sainsbury's?
We used to live right next to a Sainsbury's. We're now next to Tesco's.
Ooh. Oh, really?
Not sure about that.
Supermarket wars. I live next to a Sainsbury's.
Oh yeah. Well, you're sorted then.
I can buy the beer from here.
Yeah, you also work here.
Yeah.
So do I guess.
I don't need to, but yeah. But I do shop with Sainsbury's sometimes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Aldi's.
I can visit Sainsbury's. Yeah, Aldi's is good. Shout out.
Yeah, so do Aldi's. I don't buy the beer from there, but
no. Not that Brewdog. So just been asked if I enjoyed the brewing process of 505. I would have to say yes, but I just really love brewing. So it's probably not a good question.
I can't say that.
I just love brewing, man.
All right, okay. So if you're going to come in on a day, right, just like there was no brew plan, nothing like that, what would you want to brew? Then I'll tell you what I would want to brew.
Oh, okay. I really like brewing dark beers because the smell is just the best. And I know that's what you were going to say. That's why I said it.
Exactly the same.
Dirty Stop Out, one we haven't made for a while, goes amazing on cask.
You get the Stay Puft now.
Stay Puft too, but Dirty Stop Out brewing that's the bomb because you've got all of that smoked, rich and roasted malt in there, and it's just like
smell,
intense. It's so intense.
Smell.
Yeah, it's like a nightclub and a brewery all in the same room. It's insane.
It is. It's great. It's just like it is, isn't it? You get that really kind of coffee. It is like when you go to a coffee house, isn't it? You get that fresh coffee, roastedness. It's awesome, isn't it? It's like, it's just nice.
Yeah.
If
I'm honest, brewing, NEPAs and double IPAs, it's a bit of a headache. They're really hard to brew. We're putting loads of adjuncts in there, lots of oats and wheat and things like that. And they're really, really sticky malts. They're difficult to separate the work from because they have really high beta glucans or very soluble beta glucans in there. So it makes it really gummy and tricky to use. And as a brewer, you don't want to get stuck mash. But as a brewer, you want your life to be as easy as possible. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So on a cold winter's day, coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning. Not that I come in at 6 o'clock in the morning.
We're earlier than that.
Freezing cold. And it's brewing a stout. Get you going.
Oh yeah.
Roasted coffee,
it's the best.
chocolate, tobacco aromas. It's amazing, isn't it?
Tobacco is a great aroma descriptor. I don't think it's used enough, but it's banging. Licorice as well.
Someone used to use it. Pete Brown used to use it, I think. I think it was Pete. If it's not, sorry, Pete. They used to say that on a Dirty Stop Out. They used to get tobacco.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
Or if it wasn't him, it was Roger Protz. Respect to Roger. That's what I picked it up from, I guess. Happy days.
This is great. Again, man, this nose is so fresh. It is insane. It's not so fresh that it's oniony, but it's like almost verging on that.
It's bordering, isn't it? It's
bordering. I like that. It's walking a fine line.
It is, and it's got that bitterness. It's got a bite to it. It's got a bite that the other one didn't have.
Yeah,
I love it.
And again, really slightly stronger, this one, isn't it? Are we 6.2? 6.2 on this.
2, yeah.
So a little bit stronger.
We're
nationwide, I believe.
For Sainsbury's, aren't we?
So you can nip round to your corner Sainsbury's.
Yes.
Anywhere in the nation.
We can.
And access our beer.
You can.
Now.
Get some nectar points going. Get yourself a nectar card. Obviously, we do Club Tropica. Cali. Do the 4-packs. The 4-packs go really well. We've just started doing a mixed 12-pack into Sainsbury's. Club, Cali, and $5. So,
one of the boys we've had tonight.
Yes.
Very tasty. That's a good pack, actually.
It is a good
That's
pack.
a solid core IPA pack.
And we have to hand pack that, so it's a little bit different.
So a lot of love has gone into each pack, don't you?
It does. A lot of hands have happened to do that pack. I think, So, next beer.
All right. Blimey, you've caught up. Let me finish this one.
You had a double can, didn't
Go
you?
on,
So I'll take this one.
I've had 2
you
cans.
just catch up, rather than me catch you up. But I'm a bit of an old boy compared to you, Alex. So, peaches and cream. Now this is an old boy.
Old boy.
Bit of controversy around this one that I knew would come up, but it's a classic. I think it came around the time of Club Tropica, or Club Tropicana, as it used to be called, formerly known as. It's kind of. There was kind of a period about 5-6 years ago where these tropical IPAs and these really fruity kind of flavored IPAs were coming out. Everybody was trying to do it. I think we were kind of one of the first. Yeah, we were the first. No, we were quite on the ball with it, to be honest, with that tropical style IPA, hence Club Tropica. And this was kind of born from peaches and cream, I guess.
That nose. That nose is so good.
You get it straight away. You know what I get? I get peach yogurt. I mean, I get.
Yes.
I got children, and I buy those little. What are they called?
Petit Filou.
Petit Filous.
Or a froob.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
reminds me
good.
of that. You get it straight away. It's yogurt. To me, it's yogurt.
It's lovely.
Peach yogurt. And you get that color. You get that kind of dark. It is that dark kind of golden, isn't it? It's not as
Almost orange.
translucent and yeah,
Almost like the can.
yeah. I think so. It's not meant to
Got the
be
right
bright.
light in it.
It's
It's
got that
pretty
slightly
close.
bit of darker kind of color to it. But yeah,
Oh man, that's delicious. It's been
Hops.
so long since we brewed this. We all got really excited when we saw it scheduled to be brewed. We were like, yes, it's coming back.
I used to get quite a few people who used to say, when are you going to bring Peaches and Cream back? When are you going to bring it back? And I'm like, I don't know. Because there's so many beers that we do, isn't it? You know, you can't always kind of, you know, you can't. This used to be in our core. They used to call it in our core.
We've just got so many favorites.
Exactly. And there's so many, and our core range does change. There's obviously the originals stay in there. Club Tropica, Cali. You know, they're the two big ones, the Stay Puffed. And I think this one kind of dropped off a little bit, but it's back.
Oh yeah, it's tasting really good as well. You know, that peach is sort of elevated, I feel, compared to the old Peaches and Cream. It's got that real kind of like, just, it's so intense, the peach. It is so intense.
It is, isn't it?
It's delicious.
And it's, you know, the hops, Chinook, Mosaic, Simcoe, they've stayed the same.
Yeah.
I think that Chinook is a little bit, gives it a bit of a difference as well.
Yeah.
But I think, you know,
Gives it a depth.
if I was going to say, is this the same kind of, I mean, this beer was 6 years ago now, Mike. So, you know, we tried to keep everything similar and the same. But I think the last time we might have brewed this might have been in the old brewery. So, you know, things change, our water profiles changed, and, you know, we're always striving to become better. We're always improving things. So there's a couple of things that's changed on this, but I think it's changed for the better.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
I just love the color as well on this. For me, beer is so much about color. It's just so important. And again, it just finishes so nice.
Yeah.
I find it really, really moreish. Like, it's a sweet beer, but I just want to keep drinking it. Normally sweet beers, I'm like, oh, I'm so full. But this, it's got a lovely finish to it.
Yeah.
It's not acidic, but it almost has that, it has an edge.
It reminds me of the lassie that we've just done with the No Capes. With that apricot lassie. It has that kind of that yogurty sort of aspect to it. But obviously not apricot, it's peach. But I think it's
like that vanilla element.
Yeah.
I think you get from the lactose. Which just goes so nice in this. So we had 2 lactose beers tonight, obviously the $5 shake and then Peaches and Cream.
Yeah.
Both very, very different from one another. But again, they have that same lovely creamy vanilla kind of base.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it. I think it's great. And it's, you know, it does what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. It's that Peaches and Cream. It's an old school, isn't it? Really. It is an old school favorite of Tiny Rebel. Will we bring it back again? We probably will. You know, it's like Pump the Jam.
It's certainly a seasonal now, isn't it? I think, you know,
Yeah,
like a
so.
lot of these old
come
beers
back,
that we
and
brew.
I can remember going out for a run the other day, and not that I go out running often, but I bumped into a couple of people that I recognised, and we were talking, and she said, "We've got Peaches and Cream coming back," and I was like, "Yeah." She's like, I was just like, "That's pretty random."
Why are you running away from her?
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, yeah, okay, Peaches and Cream." But yeah, I mean, this first came out in bottle. Was it bottle? It was bottle. We bottled it.
Yeah.
And we got in a little bit of trouble because of the label, because the whole Peaches and Cream idea was based on
It's Mario, isn't it?
Mario.
Peach from Mario.
Mario Kart.
Yes.
You know, we've made many games on. I put you under pressure then, didn't I?
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, think.
Many of our beers are based on computer games. You know, and 80s films and things like that. We've done computer games like Zool. That was an old one. Altered Beast. Can't remember that. Can you? That was a cask beer that we done. Altered Beast.
I've seen the puck clip.
Yeah, and this was the Super Mario's thing, and obviously we put Princess Peaches on the front. with some cream, and then obviously we got in trouble. There was no ever any intentions to kind of done that, but the evolution from bottle to can, when we done that, all our branding changed, and we had new designs, and that's the reason why the new branding came onto the new can. It's nice, isn't it? It's just
it's
easy.
a good beer. It's super easy drinking.
Right, okay, so can I remember the first time I had peaches and cream? Well, that's easy for me because yes, I was in the brewery, but you didn't work for us then. So when was the first time you had peaches and cream?
I think the first time I had peaches and cream was at a beer festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cask?
Yeah, it was
Was it on
Cask.
Cask?
Yeah.
Okay.
I seem to remember it being on Cask.
Yeah.
And being like, this is really different, like really, really different.
Yeah.
Again, it's tricky. How do you define a milkshake IPA? Is this a milkshake IPA, Gaz? Question mark.
I'd say yes.
So would I.
It could be as.
So would it could.
It could be classed as a milkshake IPA.
And I think back then, milkshake IPAs were not really a thing. People were not brewing them in the way that they, have been over the past like 2 or 3 years. And it was a game changer, really. Like it really did influence the way people thought about milkshake IPAs and adding fruit to them and having that elevated fruit kind of characteristic.
Do you know what? I find it really interesting that you said about a beer festival, because when we, in the times of,
I remember
go
those.
to a beer festival, fingers crossed, going to be pretty soon again.
Yeah.
We'd always put this on cask as a special. We've never put this on cask as to sell into trade ever. We've always done it as a special for festivals, and it's always gone crazily well on cask at beer festivals. So that makes perfect sense, actually. That wasn't pre-scripted or anything like that.
We just made it up.
Truth. So
why do people love peaches and cream?
Why do you think people love it so much?
I just think it's really different. And peach is just such a great character to have. It's got the aroma. It's just so intense. And then it's got that lovely, complex, fruity flavor as well. And I just think it blends so nicely with the hops we've got in there and the lactose as well. And
it does.
It's just a well-balanced beer.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think you get that yogurtiness from it. You get that. It takes me back to when I was a kid and used to eat yogurts. I don't eat yogurts anymore, really.
No, you gave up the yogurts.
Yeah. Do you eat yogurt?
I'm lactose intolerant, so I try not to eat yogurts.
I mean,
occasionally I'll have a yogurt binge, but I try not to eat them.
I don't eat yogurts, but I did eat yogurts when I was a kid. And I get that. It takes me back to then. It kind of, that taste and that sense aroma is like, that's where it takes me back to. And I think when you drink or taste anything, sometimes you're trying to understand what it is you're tasting, and it takes you back to a memory of tasting something.
Yeah,
that's what I feel. That's what
definitely.
I get my kind of thing from. It takes you back to a memory, and that's what I kind of get with this.
It's an incredibly powerful thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
that kind of sensorial memory is just insane.
It's like when I taste
take
cloves.
all the way back to a place. You taste cloves.
No, when I taste cloves,
it
reminds me of being in a dentist and rinsing your mouth out with that.
I thought you said clothes.
No, clothes.
Like a hoodie or a
No,
jumper.
No, it wasn't. I'm actually struggling with this one because I'm actually busting for a toilet.
Oh no!
Yes.
It's because we're sat with the open doors behind us.
I'm literally now. What's this kind of a 7th, 8th virtual tasting? And I've managed to last.
Gaz, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be more.
Toilet. But I think I'm going to fail on this one.
I've done it once.
Pardon?
There's no choice.
I'm not sure I can.
Gaz, if you're going to wee, you can do it.
So
I'll hold the fort.
Pardon? I can't. I might have to unplug at some point.
Mate, that's
and if I
fine.
do unplug,
I'm only saying that it's fine because I also did it a couple of tastings ago when we had.
Did you do one?
8 beers. Do you not remember? We were up the top on the mezzy. Yeah, I had to run away. I had to run away.
6 deep there.
Yeah, go on, mate.
So I'm going to go.
You're
right,
fine.
And I'm going to unplug.
You guys have the luxury. You're all at home. You get to nip out to the toilet whenever you like. We've got to sit here, drink 5 beers, sometimes 8 or 9 beers, and not wee ourselves. It's very, very challenging, I must admit.
There's a question for you.
question for
How
me.
do you drink lactose beers being lactose intolerant?
That's a great question. How do I drink all the lactose beers being lactose intolerant? The answer to that is I struggle through for my art, and I do it for you guys. Put my body through hell for you guys, so you better like this. But yeah, obviously, I would not recommend drinking the beers that have lactose in. If you're vegan, obviously you can't drink them. You shouldn't drink them. If you're lactose intolerant, again, I wouldn't recommend it. And if you're allergic to lactose, even more, I implore you not to drink it. But it's a shame because they are very tasty. I try and reduce my lactose intake. So if I'm drinking these beers, I only have a little bit of them. I've had a fair amount of the $5 shake, but I'll be honest, I probably won't finish more of my peaches and cream, which is a shame because I really like this beer, but it's what you got to do.
What type of peach did you use in this beer?
So this one was a white peach. So you might notice it's got that really nice, almost tinned peach kind of smell to it, which I really, really like. And it's super, super fresh, this peach. It's just lovely. And I think it's got a real kind of like elevated aroma to it. Yeah, I think it's delicious. And again, the color, it just blends so nicely. It is almost that peachy kind of sun-blushed orange color. Gaz is back.
I'm back.
Nice and quick. Didn't even notice.
I'm good to go again now. Yes. What was the question you had?
How do I drink lactose beers when I'm lactose intolerant?
Good question. And how is that?
It's fine now. Won't be fine later. Is the answer to that one.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes. Fantastic beer. Great. I'm looking forward to the Captain Insano.
I'm really looking forward to Captain Insano.
But this is a welcome addition back to the
welcome
back
home.
to the lineup, I think, isn't
welcome
it?
Home,
we get a lot of love for this beer, and it'd be interesting to know if any of you guys have tried this beer kind of 3 or 4 years ago to kind of how it is now. It's very, very similar. Don't get me wrong, but I feel there's a couple of slight changes to it that was inevitable and natural. That has it made a difference? Has it? I mean, it's been a long time since I tried it.
It's really similar. I think it's really similar, and I think not just raw materials that can change and vary. Just because of the crop can vary.
Yeah.
We've also got to deal with process changes as well on the brew
Exactly.
house, and we've gone through so many process changes and personnel changes, and all of these are going to impact your product and on the quality of it, better or worse. And I think when you've got all of these variables in there, I think we've done a really good job of producing a beer we haven't brewed for a long time, and hopefully doing it some justice for you guys who remember it in all its glory. So, it can be really challenging recreating the past. Sometimes impossible.
It's hard.
So
and you'll always get a lot of people that will say, "Oh, there's changed, or there's less hops in it, or something like that." And I'm a kind of big believer that beer doesn't change necessarily. It's your taste buds change.
It's you.
because
not me,
beer
it's you.
always evolves, and times always change. And beer is always evolving.
Yeah.
And your taste buds evolve with those beers.
Mm-hmm.
So, if things get hoppier or fruitier, you try to adapt and change with that as a brewery. I've always said it, it's, and I think, I
think that's bang on.
maybe it's testament to things like Club Tropica that have been around for quite a while now, when it's still
totally
holding its own and smashing it. And
I think, just as you guys at home will probably have, you'll probably agree with us, your perception of flavor and aroma will have changed, and what you like will have changed. Again, you're not the only one. All consumers have that same experience. Their flavors and preferences change all of the time, and it's our job to keep in line with that. So even if we have these mainstay beers that are our core beers, they never stay the same. They've always got to move with the times, move with what the consumer is looking for. They're still going to keep that same vein of that original product.
Yeah.
But they've got to grow with you guys. That's really important, because we're super lucky. We have a really loyal customer base, and thank you guys. You've supported us throughout lockdown.
Yeah.
Like over a year now, we couldn't have made it through it without you guys. So, having you guys and being able to grow with you as a brand is so important to us.
Definitely.
So important.
And I hope Peaches and Cream helps that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you reckon?
I love it. I'm into it. Great. We go for the last one now. So,
the big boy,
the Captain Insano, the return of Captain Insano.
I never tried the original. So for me, this is the original.
But it's the original. It's V2 version 2 of Captain Insano. And what I would say, I think this is a testament to how far we've come in the last 4 years. We first brewed this 4 years ago. When we first came up to the new site, probably a little bit too soon. We were still settling into the brewery at that point. We thought, let's go great guns. Let's go. We got a bit excited, smash it. So obviously now 4 years later, we thought, let's bring it back. Let's give it another go and see what we get. And I think you got pretty excited when we turned around and said,
really excited.
We're going to bring Captain Insano back.
I mean, we've been pushing for a triple IPA or a quadruple IPA, maybe in the future. We've been pushing for strong. This is a triple. We've been pushing for a really strong IPA for a while, and we were just super excited to get the opportunity to do it. We really love brewing strong beers. It's a challenge as a brewer, and because they're so exciting and they're special, you get to put so much effort into those, and this was just one of those.
I think to me, like a hard beer to brew is a lager, clean, crisp. But the next step for me, from what I see and what I taste and what I see, is probably triple IPAs. Sometimes they can be too sweet, they can be too strong, as in like you get that
boozy.
Alcohol burn, booziness, isn't it? When we all sat down kind of
just over there
6 weeks ago now, 2 months ago, and we were trying different triple IPAs, trying them, thinking how can we kind of bring Captain Insano back to be the best that we could possibly do. And we deconstructed a lot of different beers, didn't we? And I think it's a difficult thing to do. And testament to the brewers and all the guys in production, not just brewers. I mean, we talk about brewers a lot. They're probably the rock stars, aren't they? You think you're a rock star. But there's a lot more to it. There's the cellaring guys that look after the beer after you brew it, and there's the packages that have
they look after us as well.
Exactly. That's a really good analogy. But a triple IPA is super hard to brew. To make it drinkable, I think is the first thing.
Yeah.
But still to make it punchy.
You're talking about something that's by proxy of what it is, unbalanced. It's an unbalanced balanced beer. Now this is the crux, isn't it? This is the real challenge, is making something that is supposed to be extremely bold and hoppy and also very strong in ABV, but balancing those two bold flavors.
It doesn't make sense really.
It doesn't make any sense, but you can certainly have balance within that extremity. I totally believe. But again, that's a challenge, and that's why so many people get double IPAs, triple IPAs wrong. It's because they're so intense. How can you possibly balance that intensity? It's tricky.
It is. And I think, the first thing you look at it, or you smell it, is, I think coming after the peaches and cream,
dankness.
You get the big fruit, the peach, obviously, the peaches and cream, but you get that. It's deep and danky, isn't it?
It's so deep.
Isn't it? You get that because, it's the sheer amount of hops, isn't it? I think we went with 20 grams per litre in this one. You're talking the likes of Citra Cryo, Simcoe.
That's it, yeah.
The big boys, but the classics. We said, I think when we were designing the recipes, what hops do we want to go with? And I think we said the classics. I think the classics, we
didn't want to beat around the bush, did we?
No, it was just straight in. We knew what we wanted. Yeah, your Citras, your Simcoes, because we knew what they would do for us.
Yeah.
This wasn't a beer that we thought, let's experiment with it. couldn't gamble with it really, could we?
No, we couldn't. It's, you know, it's an expensive recipe. We had to brew twice to fill a single FE for this one, just to get that body and the sugars up so that we could ferment it to 10%. You know, this is a huge beer. And that was a challenge in itself.
Yeah.
And again, we wanted it to have body. We wanted it to feel bold and big, you know.
But not too sweet.
But not being sweet.
I remember we were talking and I was kind of saying, look, you know, there's a lot of pressure on us for this one, I think. I think it was
so.
There was more pressure on us on this beer than it has been on any beer since this beer 4 years ago. I would say that.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I would. Because it's a big, bold statement to make a triple IPA. And, you know, I think there was a lot of, I wouldn't say nerves, but we wanted to get it and we wanted to be the best that we possibly could and be better than everybody else. I mean, that's what we strive to be, don't we?
It's huge. That is a huge beer.
It is. It's a beast. And
It's a beast.
You know, you probably think I'm a bit biased because I probably am. But we nailed it, didn't we?
I think it's really
totally
good.
Nailed it.
I think it's really good.
And, you know, it's not too sweet.
No.
It's not too boozy.
No. It's got all that body and that smoothness and rich tropical dankness as well. It is really rich. It's very rich.
You got that haziness that, you know, people look for in it and you want in it as well. I think it's everything that you'd want in it. And I think totally nailed. I mean, you probably think I'm, but yeah, like I said earlier, biased and but I'm probably the harshest critic on our own beer that you could have. And I think, you know, the pressure that we put on ourselves. But it's like I said the other day to all the commercial team upstairs. It was like we knew what we wanted, and we just did it, didn't we? And it was a collaboration between, you know, yourself, Shane, and Cellarin. You know, it wasn't
Mark
about chuck all the hops in.
Yeah.
Chuck in as many hops as you can. We've done that. We've been there, and I think with everything that we've done, we knew exactly. I think we went for 20 grams per liter in the end, didn't we?
Yeah.
With the hops.
Yeah.
You know,
which is huge for us. That's massive.
Yeah,
it's really big.
It is, but it's not like some people say 30 grams, 40 grams.
Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? And you get lost when you do those high kind of intensity.
But it's like sometimes less is more, isn't it? And you know, it's only through the experience that we've had, you know, whether it's been bad, it's been good, that we've been able to come out with a beer like this and just say, yeah, this is the tits. And I would,
it is the tits.
I would say that.
This gets the tits seal of approval.
Stamp.
How do you get that step up from a double to a triple IPA?
So how do you get that? We've just been asked, how do you get that step up from a double to a triple IPA? Again, it's really simple. It's that ABV. It's that next step up. You know, your double IPAs, you're looking 7 to kind of 8.5%. Triple IPAs, anything above that, all the way up to about 11, and then you get your quadruple IPAs, which is over 11.
Over 11, you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think over 11. I think 11% is by far pushing it for a triple IPA.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, where's the room for the quad IPA? You know.
Yeah. We've never done a quad.
It's all IPA.
Think,
it's all IPA.
I mean, pardon? I think so.
Would we do a quad? We'd love to do a quad.
I can always remember when we first started the brewery, me and Brad. I mean, Brad was like a massive hop head, and he used to love the hops. I mean, I like hops, don't get me wrong, but I'd be a bit more on the conservative side. I'd like a bit more sessionability and kind of like running, you know, not running the mill, but just kind of more balanced, but nice and hoppy.
Yeah.
Brad was like, no, I want hops. And I can always remember he used to be home brewing. We used to be home brewing together, and he'd be like making these big double IPAs, and born of that was Hadouken.
Hadouken is a classic.
Yeah, well, it was our IPA 7.4%, and so he's a big hop monster. Brad just loves all the hops. He tasted this, and I can't repeat his words. It was kind of like,
he was
Yeah,
He's pretty happy with this
if
one.
Brad
wasn't he?
says that, then you're on a
He's
winner.
done all right.
Yeah, and I think it's just testament. And I think for me, as kind of starting the business with Brad 9 years ago, and seeing the guys, because there is a collaborative effort. It's not like I'm not there making the recipes up. It's a big collaborative effort, and I'm super proud of the guys to make a beer like this, whether it's in brewing, with Alex and Shane and cellaring and the people around him like Sasha and all that, and packaging. And I'm super proud of this beer, and I think it's
Full
a
team
testament.
effort.
It's up there with Deya's, if not better. And I'll say it, and I will.
I think that's the amazing thing about us as a brewery. Every single project we embark on is as a team, and it always feels like it's part of a team. You never feel left out at Tiny Rebel. You always feel part of that wider family, and I think that's what's helped us survive throughout lockdown, and that's what will help us survive and grow in the future. Is that family kind of feel that we have in the brewery. And
we've got people that love beer, don't we?
Exactly.
There's people that love beer right the way through the brewery. You don't have to love beer to work for Tiny Rebel. You don't, but the people that do love beer, if they want an input, they can have an input, and that's what it's about, isn't it? And it's but it's a top beer. I can't drink it quick, but I'll be honest with you. But
it's a big boy. It's not supposed to be drank fast. It's for sharing with your mates and going, bloody hell, that's something else, isn't it? Captain Insano shows no mercy.
Who is Captain Insano?
I don't actually know. I just know he shows no mercy, and he's on my can, and he tastes good.
I know we got pretty excited about the can lid, the black can lid. That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
That was pretty cool.
It's the first
nice one off
on a can. I don't know who Captain Insano is. Oh, it's not Waterboy, is it? It's Waterboy.
Is it?
It's Waterboy.
Serious?
H2O. It's H2O. Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to have to rewatch Waterboy. I've not seen this since I was...
Brad's got it
years ago. Years ago.
Waterboy as well.
Bambouche.
Awesome. And there's actually less hops in this one than it was version 1.
Serious?
Would you believe it or not? Yeah, definitely. But it tastes even more hoppy than the first one.
Blimey.
So,
well, just shows how our processing has changed,
Yeah, I think so.
The way we do things is different.
I think first time around we tried using some different yeasts, specialty yeast, bringing them in. I think this time around we kind of knew what we would do. Obviously knew what we were doing, but just more experience, isn't it? You get more experience. You get that kind of. It's all down to it is experience.
Yeah. This one was house yeast, wasn't it?
Yep. Straight up house yeast, which is.
Well, it was quite scary for us, wasn't it? Because we've never taken our house yeast past about 8%.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware. So taking it all the way up to 10%, we didn't know what was going to happen. All sorts of wheels were going to fall off, but we got it there.
So our house
was
yeast
super proud.
It's kind of an English strain, isn't it?
It's an English strain,
it's
a British strain. British strain.
Which kind of like 9 years ago, a lot of breweries would be like, don't want to use English strains anymore. You want to use American strains, USO5.
Yeah.
But we've always been on English strains.
Yeah.
Always.
And now it's the hype. Everyone's on English strains now.
Weird how it turns around, isn't it?
But we've stuck by it, haven't we? We've always been there.
Well, yeah, because we do a lot of cask, or we used to do a lot of cask. So our English strain was obviously suited a lot more to cask, and but now people are just using it for cans and keg alike. And
I think you're bang on, guys. Like, can you imagine having Kutch brewed with an American strain?
It wouldn't be the same.
It'd be awful. It'd be so one-dimensional.
Would
not that that's me saying that American yeast is bad. American yeast is great, but it's style specific, and I think the way that we use our British ale yeast is perfect for all of the styles that we do. When we know how it behaves, we know how to adapt it to each different style, so we get the best out of it in that style, and that's the key, isn't it?
I can always remember years ago when we were in the old brewery and we were brewing on open top fermenters, and we just got our English strain in, and it was in the middle of winter, so we'd use it. We'd set the temperature to 22 degrees Celsius to make sure it didn't go up over that temperature. And I'd be there in the evening. We were doing like open nights and stuff, and then I'd be kind of like shitting myself. I'd see the temperature or the fermenters going down below 21 and be like, oh my God, it's conking out and stuff like that. But that's what yeast is, you know, it's so critical to the
Fickle
beer.
beast.
We don't talk about it enough really sometimes. And it's super important, isn't it? Because if this yeast didn't perform on this beer, it'd have ended up too hot, too boozy.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, totally on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those critical beers. You know, it's funny because you get two ends of the spectrum. Like you get your lagers and your really simple beers, like Easy Living, for instance, which are very stripped down and sessionable.
Yeah.
Yeast doing weird stuff and getting stressed. That's going to show up really, really prominently in those beers. Same in your big beers, which is funny because they're really intense. They've got lots of flavors going on there, but because they're so intense and because the conditions are so extreme, you've got so much sugar in there, got that osmotic pressure on the yeast. And then at the other end of the scale, after fermentation, you've got all of the ethanol in there.
Yeah.
And it's all of that is going to stress out the yeast and make it throw out these crazy boozy flavors and just horrible flavors.
Definitely. So it's important. It's super important. I think
Nailed
So,
it.
yes.
Nailed it.
We are going to be at festivals and we are going to be giving you updates over the next couple of weeks on where we will be.
Yeah. So kind of like there's going to be beer festivals again.
There's going to be beer festivals again. We're just being told we are going to festivals. Not necessarily me and Gaz, because I'm not sure if we're allowed out.
I'm going to try and get there.
We're going to be locked up.
I've had the vaccine. I'm going.
Was it? But as Tiny Rebel,
like,
we're going and visiting.
Yeah, it's kind of like things are kind of returning back to some sort of normality.
Yeah.
There are beer festivals planned. I did see a board upstairs today where there's about 7 events. It's like, which is kind of really weird. So I know we've got a load of festivals coming up. That'll be all on a kind of social media, Instagram, Facebook. We'll be letting everybody know. I'm pretty excited about that.
We better get making some beer.
I want to get out. But yeah, it's kind of like, it's nice because things are returning back to normal slightly, and we're super excited about it. Things are super busy at the moment, aren't we? You know, it's
madness.
You know, kind of February was a little bit quiet, and then it just kind of went from level 1 to level 100 over a couple of weeks.
We're full. Well, literally all of our tanks, bar one, are full right now. So, you know, we're doing our best to get our beer through and giving it to you guys. But it's really, really tricky, you know. We're constrained to the tank space that we have.
Exactly. Which is lovely because, I mean, thanks to you guys. I mean, it's been a tough 12 months, but not just for us, for everybody personally and stuff. And just, thanks again. And hopefully we can kind of start meeting people outside our brewery now, can't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of like interacting as
sharing the love.
Normal people, you know, normal society does. And fingers crossed that it's all going to kind of head that way. And we're super stoked. And we've got a few new beers coming out. What have you been doing last month, Alex?
I can't tell you about the barrels that we've been playing with. That would be ridiculous.
There's been barrels involved.
That's all you're allowed to know.
Yeah. So you kind of like,
we've been playing with some things.
Yeah, just kind of hyping it up ready for these beer festivals, because we've always kind of like, whenever we go to a beer festival, we always try to put up something a bit new, don't we? Or a bit different. Something that you can't always get. I'm not saying just like a new beer. You know, it's something, maybe an existing beer that's been put in an oak barrel, whiskey barrel, bourbon, depends where it's come from. You know, so there's a couple of things kind of going on, isn't it?
There's a couple of things bubbling away.
Yeah.
It'll keep you guys interested, I think. Yeah.
And we've got a couple of beers probably dropping end of this month as well.
One of them we're really excited about. I mean, obviously we're excited about all of them, but one of them, no frills. It's going to be a really, really exciting one.
Done. So, yes, with that, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
We've had to go through 5 beers tonight.
5 beers.
Probably a little bit tipsy. Sorry, I had to take a wee break. But yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.